Howdy, fella nerf herders. I like me a good old space western. I don't like having them spoiled by Bantha Poodoo yapping too much. The following is just two Mando-loving scoundrels talking about the show. So if you don't want spoilers, then turn your tauntaun now and head back to base. So long, and happy listening.
Welcome back, Mando!
I am IG-11. I am this child's nurse droid, and require that you remind him to me immediately.
He said you were the best in the parsec.
I have spoken. This is the way.
Welcome back, Hail Ming listeners. It's another installment of the Mandalorian spin-off of Hail Ming Power Hour for you. As the episodes come out once a week, we will come out once a week to tell you what we think about them. And so far, it's been nothing but good news. I hope you guys are having a great time out there, and I hope you're enjoying the show. And I can't wait to get into this week's episode of The Mandalorian with my brother from another mother, Rick Morgan. How are you doing over there, Rick?
We're doing good, man. We're coming out, you said.
We're we're coming out with another show.
Okay.
Is there anything else you need to tell the people? I mean, no judgment here.
I'm cool.
Okay. All right. Well, so welcome back. We are here to talk about chapter 12, The Siege, which I think is an odd title because there is not a siege.
Not a siege?
No. I kind of thought, oh, they're going to get holed up somewhere like they did in the last episode of the last one, because that's what a siege is like. But no. And we might be able to say, instead of the siege, we had a lot of action. And I think we know why.
Wow. Yeah, we did. Yeah. And this thing, I love, I wonder if there's going to be a point where somebody just takes all these and just puts it all together, because you can seamlessly put the episodes back to back, because they literally are flying off in the ship, and then the next episode starts off right where they were kind of at in the ship.
Yeah,
from
it's
the
very
last
continuous.
episode. Yeah, I love that idea, because it doesn't throw you off to something else. You're still picking right back up where you started, and where we left off was, Mando's ship is in pretty rough shape, where he had the repairs done, and they didn't do a very good repair job. And the scene where he has shoved the baby into this little bitty porthole and has him back, way further than arm's length down in this little shaft, trying to fix some wiring. And it's very reminiscent of Groot, right?
Yeah.
Don't push the red button, push the green button. That whole scene.
That's the one I told you not to push.
And it's dead up, that kind of scenario. But, Mando saying, take the red wire and put it where the blue wire was, but don't put them together. And, of course, what's going to happen, right? So
it's funny because it was very predictable that the child was going to get shocked. But it got to the point where I was like, if the child doesn't get shocked at the end of the sequence, I'm going to be disappointed now. Right? Yep. Not because I was frustrated with the child, but it was because that's what we were building up for. That was what was going to end that sequence. Yeah. And, it's great.
Yeah, it pays off, and of course he gets shocked, but everything's fine. He's not hurt. And
Can we talk for a minute about the fact that before the episode even starts, you hear the familiar sound of a hyperdrive failing?
Yeah.
So you know it from all the Millennium Falcon scenes, and
Every one of them.
You hear it, and you're like, I know what that is.
Yeah, they continue to take the pieces that are just in the back of your mind and just throwing them on the screen, and it's so familiar. I mean, you just, I don't know, man, it feels like an old friend. This show feels like something you grew up watching already. It's
true, and I've heard it said that the problem, or one of the problems with the prequels, is that they kind of look like they're in the future of the Star Wars universe as opposed to the past. And I get it. You know, that was a time of excess. That was a time of wealth. So everything looked, more superior. And later you have war and you have a lot of, used technology. So everything looks dirty. But somehow it kind of ended up making the prequels seem like they stand on an island. You know, they don't really belong in the universe that they, rightfully should have created.
Yeah, and it's funny you say that, because I remember seeing an interview with Ozzy Osbourne, of all people, and it's exactly what he brought up. It's like, I can't believe how shiny all the fucking ships are.
Ozzy's out there telling the truth.
So because the ship is in such bad shape, we're heading back to Dave Navarro.
Yeah, that's right. Dave Navarro.
Dave Navarro. Going back to Navarro to get some repairs done, where Cara Dune looks like she's cleaned up the town, man.
Yeah, she's being, episode 10, the marshal over there.
Yeah. Yeah, so she's whipped this town into shape. Got a school going on where there used to be a dance club.
Yeah, you got some nefarious activity going on at the beginning. There's some people dealing in contraband or something, and they're Aqualish, by the way. The same as what Walrus Man from the first one.
Yep.
And they're all grunting at each other and being criminals, and Cara Dune just goes in there and body slams them all. She picks up one, body slams him. Another one gets, no, you too. Picks him up, body slams into a wall. Because that's what she does.
You know what this location is, right? That they're at.
What, Navarro?
Well, where she's beating these people up at.
No, enlighten me.
Well, if you looked at the beginning of it, it shows over the walkthrough, and it's where the emblem of the Mandalorian was, and it's gone. So this is where Mando would go in and get his armor made.
Oh, this is where the tribe was held up, right? Okay.
Yes, yeah. And this is, of course, obviously it's been vandalized, and they even stole that emblem and probably took it and traded it for money or whatever. So yeah, it's that place.
I did not realize that. I didn't catch it.
It's all right. That's what I'm here for, man.
Well,
don't cry. It's okay.
No. But the movie moves, or the show moves so fast that it isn't long before the Mandalorian shows up, drops down and meets with his old friends, and they are educating him as to how Navarro has changed for the better, right? Like you said, the old dance club becomes a new school, and they got to leave the child there in the school while they talk some business.
Yeah. So since you're here and we're going to fix your ship, how about you go do a job with us? How about another mission? Which, come on, we know that's pretty much going to be the running thing for all these episodes, right? He's a hired gun. Here's another mission. We found there's an old Imperial base that's still operating, and we want to go wipe it out so it doesn't get to the children.
Isn't there something about the lava? There was something about lava flow that was going to do something that they wanted to stop it before the lava got to it or something, I thought. But it was so quick. And of course, it reintroduces you to Horatio Sands as the a Mythrol from the first episode, the very first bounty that Mando collects. And he shows up. He's being a bookkeeper for Grief Karga there, and he's kind of paying off his debts, because I guess it was a specific bounty for Grief that that Din was out there getting in the first episode. We didn't know that, but now we know it.
Right. And I love when Din walks up and you can see, because these Mithrals, they've got the gills and everything, and you can see him like shoot air out of their gills, like, oh! Like it scared him. It's like, oh crap, it's that dude again.
Right. He puffs some kind of blue mist.
I just misted myself.
Yeah, I found myself wondering if it smelled like,
yeah,
it was kind of like a get away from me kind of skunk thing or not. But they didn't get into that, and I'm kind of glad.
But they end up getting into a land speeder and going to this Imperial base, and man, from here on, you talk about some action. This thing rocks.
Yeah, they break into the base after a little back and forth and a locked door, and then they're in, and they pass by a like a covered up some kind of a paddy wagon. Yeah. And our Mithral friend is like, oh, it's a Trexler Marauder. And I was like, oh, that's coming back. It's mentioned in the first 5 minutes. It's coming back. Right. And he's like, yeah, you could, and it's in mint condition. You could really get a lot on that on the black market, and I'm like, yeah, they're coming back to that. And then they go a little deeper in, and they get a little plot explanation as to the whole, the child and the cloning and Moff Gideon going on.
Yeah, man, and you get it's really quite a bit of information here, and it really is doing that thing where it's tying in all these loose ends of the galaxy, the Star Wars galaxy, together, because apparently why they want the baby is because they're building some kind of super soldier or whatever by using the DNA of the baby to create whatever these new creations are.
I guess they'd be like Jedi stormtroopers, right? I mean, because they know that the creature has a natural proclivity to the Force. Right, which ties into the whole midichlorian kind of thing. And I mean, so it's really tying all that stuff together here, which I as much as I dislike the idea of the midichlorians, I like the way they're handling it here, and it gives you an explanation of why they're doing what they're doing. So I don't know. I have to give them credit for that. Yeah, and they do say something like, well, they're M levels or something, and I'm like, oh, yeah. You're not using the word, but I think I know what you're getting at. And they might never use the word. They might decide, we're going to use it as a concept, but we're not going to directly tie it into that because it was wildly unpopular with Star Wars fans, that there was some kind of, in your bloodstream, you got Jedi molecules, and nobody likes that. But they wanted to, again, they're trying to pull from all the mythologies, and they're trying to make a story that includes them, faithfully. And I can appreciate that. And speaking of that, the tankers that are over here, where they've got the bodies floating in the embryonic fluid or whatever. Yeah. Precursor? I mean, I think it's one thing for the show, but is this the making of Snoke? Is it the Emperor? What's going on, It's true. It does look an awful lot like the Rise of Skywalker, Sith planet thing with all those tubes. But, I mean, that's just what cloning tubes look like, right? So, could be, might not be. We don't know. We haven't really seen them before, but I don't know, man. It's maybe another one of those things. Maybe they're just doing it because that's just what works. Maybe we're discussing it because it's exactly what they wanted us to do, was question it. No, it's kind of like the X-Files, right? They answer one question but give you 20 more. Right. And, as long as they eventually answer them, I don't think it'll fall the way that the X-Files did, where by the end you just don't care anymore. So how much of Episode 4, or as we call A New Hope, do you kind of see here with going and turning off this, it's not the tractor beam, but it might as well be, right? Right. I mean, it's like dead up. A New Hope. Well, and I love this whole, you get the story tie-in to the rest of the series in like a good 4 or 5 minutes, and then it goes from them breaking in to them having to bust out, and and then it's just a race against time, right? And even to the point where, one of the stormtroopers rounds a corner and says, "There they are, blast them." It's if you don't recall that from A New Hope, that the exact same
Yep.
I wouldn't be surprised if they had taken the sound clip from that movie and just stuck it there because it's exactly the same.
Yep. Well, I tell you what, there's another scene too where they're on the different levels. You got the stormtroopers down here, and there's the big wide opening, and then Mandalorian's over here. I'm like, man, I'm waiting for him to throw a grappling hook and swing,
Yeah,
over to the other side because it's set up just like that. And yeah, man, they're really tinkering with that stuff. Did you notice who directed this episode?
I did. That's why I said I knew it would be full of action.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I did. I noticed. But you lay it on me. Go ahead.
No, man. I mean, it's Carl Weathers, man.
Carl Weathers.
Yeah.
Action Jackson himself.
Action Jackson. Yeah. Chubbs.
Yeah, I mean, and yeah, when I saw that Carl Weathers directed it, I would just, I gave my TV a thumbs up and moved along with my day.
You're cool, TV. Thumbs up.
Thanks for showing me, buddy.
I love that. Man, yeah, this whole scene, man, the fighting inside, the launching of the lava by dropping down the whatever tractor beam thing, whatever we're doing here, the race to get out in time before it explodes, getting into this, again, this carrier that they're jumping on that's been covered up that they noticed when they first went inside the place, taking off in it, the fact that it just nosedives off the side and crushes the speeder, I thought, wow, okay, we're happening.
Yeah,
and then the speeder bikes, man.
And the speeder bikes, and two of those biker scouts don't even make it down the cliff. They crash into each other chasing this speeder bike. So, I mean, again, for the people out there who listen to us rather than watch the show for some strange reason, so they find out that this information in the Imperial base, and then they gotta make their way out super fast, and the Trexler Marauder that was earlier mentioned, they find themselves holed up against it, in a firefight. Cara Dune jumps in and gets that thing fired up, and then they all jump in, and then they go careening down, 400 feet to the bottom of this lava canyon in this ship, and just crush the speeder they got there in, which is the Mithril, so he can, oh, my car, but but again, it's one of those jokes you expect to happen, and you're glad when it does.
Yeah, and like I said, this action is just fantastic. And then how do you up the ante then? Well, when you start running out of speeder bikes because they keep crashing and dying, and they even crush that one, man. She just uses that thing they're in and just crushes him against the wall, killer stuff. But how do you up it? You bring in some TIE fighters, man.
That's right. And again, you got Carl Weathers on the back, doing the rear gunner thing, and he's in something just as clunky as the Millennium Falcon's, that whole turret gun that it had. It's slamming him around, and it's not very, and it targets stuff, but only after you have to spin the whole thing wide, and he's trying to do something with it, but ultimately they just got to get out of this canyon because the TIE fighters come in and start, targeting that little car, and it's not going to last long. Yeah,
this is fantastic, man. And needless to say, they're going to make it out right, make it back okay. But
were you going to say that they were saved last minute in a Millennium Falcon kind of way?
Very much so, right? Yeah. So you're thinking that this last TIE fighter's coming in, and Grief Kargan's been kind of knocked out of the gunning room, which has kind of been hit directly. And right when you think that the last blast is going to happen, then swooping through the sky, here he comes, and his ship's been totally repaired in this short amount of time.
Because Grief Karga is like, spare no expense and make Mando's ship, well, because... What? I don't care about money anymore, I suppose.
But it's a quick turnaround, man, because that thing was in shambles.
Yep.
And man, it's like pristine, and apparently the weapons are all dead on, and he takes care of business and saves the day. He makes
short work of those TIE fighters. You just bam, bam, bam. The ones that are left, they're just gone.
Yep. So, like I said, the action is just fantastic. But it breaks away from there, which, the saga goes on where Mandalorian's going to kind of go on his way and keep heading the direction that he's trying to get to with the child. But it cuts to a commander talking to Moff Gideon. And we get to see, which is kind of legendary, really. It goes back into the 90s. And it's this, and I'm just assuming that's what these are, but it looks like the Dark Troopers, which is kind of what they're building out of this whole scenario with the science base. We've been talking about the science lab. So yeah, there's a lot of question marks here. Is that kind of what you got out of it too? Yeah, well, I mean, I think it's a detachment. For the most part, this series doesn't show you things that Din doesn't see. It's very much his story, and only occasionally do they clip away and show you what other characters are doing that might have some, some plot driven reason. Yeah. And yeah, I mean, it does look like we know they're trying to create some kind of uber stormtrooper, and there's no doubt I didn't see what you're seeing. Yeah. I need to go rewatch it. And, and I'll be looking for it this time. He's in that room, and you can tell there's these little slots, and there's obviously, at first you're thinking, looks like a whole bunch of Darth Vaders. And then you start putting it together and you start looking a little closer, then yeah, I'm pretty sure this is going to be the introduction of, the Dark Troopers, which, like I said, goes back to some of the literature, even, like I said, I think back in the 90s of where this was coming from. So I may be wrong on that. You can correct me if I am, but I think that's where this is heading with these. Well, and they had those Death Troopers or whatever in the first season that were the guys with the flamethrowers, right? Yeah, but these are different. These are like super soldier, jacked up, almost like what you were talking about. Almost like a Jedi trooper kind of thing. Well, that's no good. Yeah. Dum dum dum. Dun, dun, dun. Just like the episode. I mean, this show's bound to be short and sweet. I mean, we covered all the action that was in it. I mean, there was a little subplot about the child stealing some cookies from another kid in the school. Oh, that was great. and he spits up a little in the Razor Crest after a firefight, which probably gonna happen if you take a baby with you on your dogfighting mission. Yeah, but it's funny though. He's back there just raising his hands like, yeehaw! He did. I even when I made my few notes, I had the child raising his hands was adorable. It's awesome. Cool, man. Another great episode. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, just like all the ones before it, I don't think it loses anything. I don't think it loses its pacing. I think it's fantastic and worth watching. Absolutely. Yep. Let us know what you think about it, people. Yeah.